I think of this as a serious family and friends pool for anyone who wants the real swim experience without committing to digging up the yard. If you host weekend gatherings, if you have active kids, or if you just want a quiet place to float after work, this hits a sweet spot. It is big enough to spread out, sturdy enough to feel safe, and manageable enough that you do not need to be a pool pro to keep it running. The design matters because it affects how you live with it day to day. The round footprint gives everyone room to move without creating dead corners that collect debris. The graphite gray exterior with the bright blue liner looks better in person than I expected. It makes the whole yard feel a little more put together. The steel frame feels solid, and the powder coating inside and out is not just a buzzword. After a full summer in the sun and rain, I am not seeing rust on the frame or the joints. The liner is thick and does not feel fragile. Still, the thin ground cloth that comes in the box is worth using. It looks like an afterthought, but it keeps gravel and stray sticks from rubbing the liner. Skipping it is one of those choices you regret later. My experience setting it up taught me that the pool is only as good as the ground under it. Leveling the site was the hard part, and it is the step that separates a smooth season from a frustrating one. Eyeballing a lawn and raking it flat is not enough. I learned that fast. I brought in sand, used a hand tamper, and checked with a long board and a level until the whole area was truly flat. If your yard is bumpy or sloped, plan for that extra work, because even a small tilt makes the legs lean, and that puts stress on the frame. During the fill, I walked around a few times, nudged a couple of legs back into position, and corrected the angle before the water weight locked everything in. That simple loop around the pool saved me a lot of worry later. Once the pad was right, the frame assembly felt almost too easy. The parts snapped together with the locking buttons, and I did not need to wrestle with tools. Getting the frame up took about an hour at a calm pace. The real-time sink is water. This pool holds just under 12,500 gallons, so plan for a long fill. I used 2 hoses, one from city water and one from a well, and it still took patience. While it filled, I set the pump and the hoses on patio pavers so the equipment would stay level and not settle into dirt. That little detail keeps the fittings from twisting and cuts down on small leaks. The filtration system is what makes or breaks a pool for me. The sand filter on this set is the part I appreciate most day to day. Instead of swapping out paper cartridges, I let the sand do the work. Water moves through the sand, traps the fine stuff, and comes back clear. The valve on top is a simple 6-way design, so I can switch between filtering, backwashing, and rinsing without fuss. I run the pump on a regular schedule, watch the pressure gauge, and backwash when it climbs. The routine takes minutes. The pump hums, but it is not loud. I can talk right next to it without raising my voice. In use, the pool feels solid. With the water line up, the walls do not flex in a scary way, even when a bunch of kids cannonball in. I have had around 10 people in at once, and it did not feel like a crowd. The round shape spreads everyone out and somehow keeps the vibe relaxed. If I am alone, the space is big enough to actually swim short laps or just drift on a lounger without bumping into the sides. Maintenance is as easy or as hard as you make it. The filter does the heavy lifting, but I skim the surface when leaves drop, and I vacuum the bottom when I notice grit. That is the part no filter can handle on its own. I also test chlorine and pH regularly, because a pool this size responds predictably once you keep the basics in line. Most weeks, I spend more time enjoying the water than working on it, which is exactly what I wanted. A few practical notes from actual use. The included ladder works, but it is not my favorite. It has a slight wobble, especially when heavier adults climb in and out. It never felt unsafe, but if you have older family members or anyone who needs extra stability, a more robust aftermarket ladder is worth considering. The other small thing is that the instructions undersell how important the base and leg alignment is. If a leg drifts while filling, fix it right away. Once the pool is full, you do not want to be tapping and shimming a steel leg under thousands of pounds of water. I want to call out a couple of accessories that I thought were gimmicks and ended up liking. The Mega Chill 2 cooler and the inflatable recliner lounge sound like toys, but on hot afternoons they make the whole setup feel like a resort. The cooler keeps drinks cold without a trip inside, and those float recliners with cup holders are the seats everyone fights for. They just make the lazy day part of the experience simpler. For a real-world test, I set up a weekend family hangout. Early morning, I checked the filter pressure, gave the surface a quick skim, and made sure the pump was sitting flat on the pavers. By noon, we had a rotating crew of kids in the water, adults drifting on loungers, and no one asking where to stand or how to get in because the round shape and the generous depth made it obvious. Cleanup afterward was straightforward. I ran the pump a bit longer, backwashed until the sight glass cleared, and gave the bottom a slow vacuum pass. The water looked the way you want pool water to look, not just blue, but clear all the way to the floor. On quiet evenings, I like to float with a drink and let the pump run while the sun goes down. The sound is a steady background hum. I can still hear music or a conversation, and there is no sharp vibration or rattle. I also noticed that the steel frame coating is doing its job. After a season of use, I do not see rust spots or chipping paint. That adds confidence that this is not a one-season purchase. The 2-year warranty is a nice safety net I hope I never use, but it is there if something goes wrong. A couple of things to plan for if you are new to pools. The water fill takes patience, and you will watch the level rise slower than you expect. Resist the urge to rush it. Keep checking the legs as the water climbs. Make sure the pump sits on something solid. Use the ground cloth. These are small, boring steps that make a huge difference in the long run. Also, do not expect the filter to catch everything. A leaf rake, a simple vacuum head, and a pool brush are your best friends. As for who this is for, I see it fitting people who want a big, sturdy pool experience without contractors and concrete. If you have the space for a round footprint and you are willing to invest time in leveling the base, it rewards you with a backyard hangout that feels substantial. If your yard has a sharp slope, or if you want a quick pop-up that requires almost no prep, this is probably not the right choice. It is not difficult, but it does ask for attention to the foundation. Once that is done, the rest of the season feels easy. I like how this pool blends practical touches with real comfort. The frame locks snap together without tools. The sand filter keeps things clear with minimal fuss. The liner feels tough. The look is clean and modern without trying too hard. And the big one for me, it genuinely supports gatherings. 10 people can swim, talk, and float without feeling like they are on top of each other. That is the benefit that shows up every weekend. If I were to change anything straight out of the box, I would include a more solid ladder and clearer guidance on base preparation. Beyond that, I am happy with how it has held up, how easy the maintenance has been, and how often it draws people outside. When a product quietly gets used all the time, that is usually a sign it is doing the right things. This is the pool I recommend to families and hosts who want a reliable, large above-ground setup with real capacity, good filtration, and a frame that inspires confidence. Prepare the ground carefully, take your time on the first day, and the rest of the season becomes about swimming, not troubleshooting. Please check the comments section for detailed information about the Intex 24ft X52 in Ultra XTR Deluxe above ground swimming pool. Thank you for watching.